Hi, this is Felix and Mitchell from Group 32. We will present Materials and Resources Credit 3, Sourcing of Raw Materials. Projects can obtain up to 2 credits for all sections listed on the slide. Here is some important definitions that will help in understanding this credit. Some of the important definitions are pre-consumer recycled content, which is the product of processed waste. Another important definition is the post-consumer recycled content, which is the end waste that cannot be used again for the initially intended purpose but can be recycled to a new product. Next is the bio-based product, which is a product that are composed in whole or in significant part of biological product, renewable agricultural materials, or forestry materials. And last is chain of custody, which is a procedure that tracks a product from extraction to its end use. The intent of this credit is to encourage the use of products and materials that have environmentally, economically, and socially preferable life cycle impacts. This credit also intends to reward project teams for selecting verified products that are extracted or sourced in a responsible manner. Some reasons behind this intent are illegal extraction practices and processes that can harm the environment and indigenous people's rights. Another one is that the CSR, or also called Corporate Sustainability Reports, enable transparency and environmental impacts to be studied and improved by comparing them to each other. Last but not least, teams are encouraged to reduce raw materials usage by switching to reuse and recycled materials. There are two options for the requirements of Credit 3. The first one is raw material source and extraction reporting, which is merely to ensure that the selected products address responsible sourcing criteria through self-declaration or third-party verified corporate sustainability report. Acceptable CSR frameworks include Global Reporting Initiative, or also called GRI, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development Guidelines for Multinational Enterprises, UN Global Compact, ISO, and USGBC approved program. The second option is the leadership extraction practices, which require the project teams to use products that meet at least one of the responsible extraction criteria below for at least 25% by cost of the total value of permanently installed building products in the project. The criteria include extended producer responsibility, which is a policy approach under which producers are given a significant responsibility, financial and/or physical, for the treatment or disposal of post-consumer products. For the bio-based products, they should meet the Sustainable Agricultural Network's Sustainable Agriculture Standard and also tested using ASTM. For wood products, they should be certified by the Forest Stewardship Council or USGBC approved equivalent. Next one is materials reuse, which includes salvage, refurbished, or reused products. Recycled content and other USGBC approved programs are also included in the criteria. We will now go to the step-by-step guidance for the first option. The first step is to specify and select compliant products. Project teams have to select products from manufacturers that can provide reports of raw materials from their suppliers. Their report must include the extraction locations, commitment to long-term ecologically responsible end use, commitment to reducing environmental harms, and commitment to meeting voluntary standards or programs that address responsible sourcing. The reports may also be available in the form of a corporate sustainability report, and include performance requirements for sole source compliant products as applicable to the selected options in the project specifications. The second step of the first option is to track purchases throughout construction. It can be done by continuously tracking substitutions and change orders and collaborate with the team members to check the progress related to the credit compliance. It is stated that the best source of documentation is the manufacturer or the organization that manages the reporting program. The third step is to calculate compliant products and materials and compile documentation. The number of compliant products can be calculated using equation 1 shown on the slide. For the second option, the first step is to specify products that meet one or more of the criteria listed in the previous slide. Preliminary design concept review can also be done to find opportunities for using materials such as bio-based, qualified wood, recycled content materials, and also products covered by the extended producer responsibility. The second step of the second option is quite similar with the second step of the first option, which is to track purchases throughout construction. It can be done by coordinating a review of the construction product submittals to ensure that the selected products meet credit requirements. The last step of the second option is to determine the total value of compliant products using equation 2 and compile documentation. Compliance is based on products cost.
Raw material reporting and corporate sustainability reports. For a product to count toward credit achievement, it must be published within 1 year of the project's LEED registration. On top of this, 90% of the contents of the product must be made up from raw material. A sample framework includes the following: Global Reporting Initiative, or GRI, Organization for Economic Cooperation, OECD, and UN Global Compact Communication of Progress, which lays framework for 10 principles in 4 core areas, which are human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption. Extended Producer Responsibility, otherwise known as EPR, is a strategy to integrate the lifecycle environmental cost of a good into the market price of the product. The goal of this program is to shift responsibility toward the manufacturer and away from the municipalities using the product. It is a good incentive for producers to consider environmental impact during production. 2 programs commonly used are manufacturer-based programs, in which the manufacturer will have a take-back program for products to be recycled. Another program used is a third-party program where a separate business is created to collect the material and either sells or returns the material to the manufacturer for reuse. Wood and bio-based products. The Forest Stewardship Council, or FSC, sets the standards for all wood and bio-based products. The equation below can be used to calculate the FSC product value. All FSC products must be documented in order to achieve credit. Material reuse considerations. For a material to be reused, a cost analysis must be done. If the reused material has a lower value than using a new material, the new material must be chosen. This usually leads to limited opportunities for the reuse of materials. However, some materials that are generally able to be reused include salvaged brick, structural timber, railroad ties, and stone. Recycled content. Reuse of materials includes rework, regrind, or scrap product. You may only count these as pre-consumer recycled material if they are to be used in a different product than the one whose production generated the waste. To calculate the total percentage of recycled material used in a project, you must know the amount of each content used. The 2 types of content are post-consumer content and pre-consumer content. Post-consumer content are the things you generally see from curbside recycling, including aluminum, plastic, and glass. Pre-consumer content comes from process waste of the given material while being used to make a different product than the intended use on the project. The required documentation for credit achievement through options 1 and 2 are shown in the picture below.